there are tons of things that can happen. Occlusions.
We've had people faint in Heather's room.
I've had tons of people faint. Oh, yeah. And seizures.
One of those may have been Lena.
No, I didn't faint. I just didn't want to be there.
We hear the screaming.
Hey guys, welcome back to the AA Skin Babes Pod. I'm your host Lena, a licensed esthetician, and we are now in season 2 of AA Skin Babes Unfiltered.
Woo!
Big deal here. This week I have Heather
Taylor, nurse injector.
Kristen
Sanborn, esthetician.
And we have another special guest with us today, Miss Paige.
I am Paige Countryman, and I am a licensed nail technician.
And you are in Adrian?
Archie.
Sorry.
Archie, yes.
I live in Archie. So I'm sorry.
You're good. I'm right on Main Street.
So we are going to be talking today about small businesses. Well, not me. I haven't started one, but we all have been a part of one at some point in time in our career. Kristen is the owner of Amazing Angels Medspa.
Uh-huh.
She started that in a little tiny room in a bra closet, if no one knew that one. A bra closet,
a bra shop. The girls, bra fittings.
The room the size of a closet.
Yeah, it was tiny.
size.
I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Paige, you're a solo nail tech.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm the only one in there. Yes.
And then Heather started her Midwest aesthetics from the ground up.
I did. I was working full-time at the hospital as a nurse and started doing injectioning on nights and weekends, and it just kind of blew up from there.
Were your kids were little at the time?
They would have been 11 and 14.
I say
12 and
Mom had
14.
young kids at the time she started.
I did. I had 6 little ones.
Mm-hmm.
The 6 of us were not little. 3 were still little.
3 were still little. Lena, the girls were in grade school.
We were in middle school, I think.
Middle school.
So we want
to talk about. It was a lot to start a business.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And we want to talk about starting out. A lot of people are like, whenever you go into aesthetics, what are your options? Or nails, what are your options? Because I know with us, you got like solo, and most people think if you're going to aesthetics, you're gonna go solo. That's kind of the whole. I mean, when people go into this, their whole plan is go solo. But there's also other employment options that might be a little bit easier. But let's talk about your guys' experiences going solo.
It was a lot of work. When I went solo, you're responsible for everything. You think that I remember back to another episode when Lauren Umstead, who was with Face Leewood, was with us, and she had made a comment on one of the TikTok videos that we had, the little screenshots, that she worked in surgery for 4 hours, where there was a day, so that she didn't burn herself out.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was a whole string of comments that said, just like a doctor to just work 4 hours a day, just like, it was just kind of on and on about how
not knowing
she
what
was a small
she
business
does
owner, so she
every day.
only worked
Right.
4 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw those comments, I'm like, oh, these people don't know.
Mm-hmm.
4 hours a day is maybe when you take appointments or you're on the floor, but all of the work behind a small business, I know I spend every day of the week focusing on my small business. If I am not working at social media, then I am doing books, paying taxes, doing payroll, and then on the weekends, I'm there watching videos.
And the phone alone.
And learning new techniques.
A lot of
and
unpaid hours working.
Absolutely.
And then phone calls.
Mhm.
It is not unusual for me to get text messages in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And Kristen's
that's
the owner
because-
that doesn't ever shut off the phone. Like, there's no weekend.
That's me too.
There's
though.
some that's like,
Yeah.
if it's a weekend, it's not business hours, the phone's off, we're not answering. But it's like Sunday right after church, and
Mhm.
Kristen's still answering phone calls.
Holidays, like it
Yes.
just
Yeah.
it happens.
Well, and not everybody works a set schedule.
Mhm.
I have lots of nurses that are coming off a 12-hour shift, and the only time they have to find out about an appointment is to text me in the middle. They know that I will just text back in the morning, in the middle of the night, before they go to bed,
Mhm.
see if they can get in the next day. And so we just make that option. Now, if you're sending me Facebook messages or Instagram messages, do not expect it to be an
Yeah.
immediate
I'm bad
reply.
about that.
Yes,
Right.
and Paige has probably been there where
Especially Facebook. I can barely work Facebook as it is. And so when I get
Yes.
a bunch of messages on Facebook, I'm like, sorry, I didn't see this until like a month later. So
Oh
I'm
no.
like,
And so
sorry.
there's lots of different avenues that we're trying to, as
Yeah.
small business owners,
Yes.
that we are trying to filter through. And so
There's so
4
many
hours,
platforms.
it would be awesome if we
Mhm.
just worked 4 hours a day. But my day is probably more like 12 hours. And then, I drive an hour to work and an hour home. And so small business
I
isn't
just thought about
always
this.
as awesome as people
Paige has a really
Yes.
interesting point of view on this because
Yes.
you are what, 19, 18,
Yes,
19?
19.
Yes,
Mhm.
awesome.
When did you start your business?
So I was 17, and then so I actually started working when I was I think 17. I had just turned 17 a few months.
And how has your journey been being solo? As 18,
Um,
19-year-old, like that's
She's a baby.
Yeah, she is
Bless her
fresh
heart.
into this.
I've had a ton of support, so I think that's really the only reason like I was able to do it. If I didn't have as much help, so the lady that owns the building, her name's Michelle Osborne,
Yes.
and she is so sweet. And she has helped me. She bought my furniture. Well, she bought my chairs, and I think that helped too. And just she was so encouraging, like, "Hey, like, when are you gonna set up? Like, can I help you with anything?" Like, just very, And of course, my family was too. And but I think that was probably the biggest help was how much she helped me, and because she had been doing it for a long time, on her own in the whole building by herself, pretty much. So
And I think that's something that when Paige reached out to us, I'm like, oh my gosh, this young lady has
Little
started her
entrepreneur.
business and she isn't even, old enough to buy alcohol yet.
Mhm.
And
right.
I said, are you even old enough to buy all your
Mm.
supplies like you work with?
Oh, yeah. So it's a pretty funny story. When I took my state boards and everything like that, I had to go to get like acetone, like polish remover. My mom had to come with me before I was 18 because, so for like a year, every time I had to go get nail polish remover, I had to have my mom get it because
Oh, that
you have to
is
be
too
18 to buy
funny.
it.
That is too
But,
funny.
yeah.
And so you can do it. I know in the state of Missouri, you can start your training.
Mhm.
Being an apprentice trainer, we can take apprentices when they're 17, when they're junior in high school. And I think there are some career centers that will start training young ones, especially in St. Louis, at about 17. But that's where you can start early. And then by the time you have graduated from high school,
You're ready to go.
you're ready to go.
Mhm.
But as much as like we want to say, oh, it's awesome, but at the same time, being solo,
Stressful.
Stressful.
it's stressful. There's a lot of expense up front.
Mhm.
It seems like the profit margins are bigger, but going solo is something that really needs to be thought out.
Yes.
You really, really need to have a plan.
It's kind of like Heather and I
very
think about
expensive.
first. Don't think about just the money you're going to make. You're going to
Yeah.
have to think profit and loss is how much money are you going to pay rent? How much money are you going to put into products? How much money? And when you start doing the math, you're going to be looking at that and it's like,
Thousands.
and
Mhm.
it's going to
And
be.
also the 5-year startup of a business, period.
Mhm.
is a lot. I saw a lot of small med spa salons die out during COVID and the years following because of not being able to make that
Mhm.
that small profit margin.
The only way I
And-
could do it was because I worked I started working at 15.
Right.
So for those 2 years, I just saved, and after school for my nail technician school, I would go and waitress the evening shift,
Mhm.
and then I would take that cash, and then
Yep.
I'd go buy one little bundle of nail polish, and it was just little tiny things, that,
Yeah.
once
And
at
I
a
think
time.
that's what you
what's
have to
important.
do. Yeah.
Whenever you start out is you're not going to be able to jump into it and
No.
go full time if you're going to go solo. Because you don't have that client base sitting there. You don't have the money to put back into it. So plan on working another job.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
And then, if you're solo, then start adding those hours in along with it.
The amount of people that reach out to me on a weekly basis, I would say 2 to 4 people a week will reach out to me wanting to get into what I'm doing. And I don't want to be discouraging, but it's very difficult. People look at the price of what you charge for things, what you have to charge for
And
things.
especially with you, it's this is kind of hard to say, but with you, it's hard to go to someone who's new compared to
Mhm.
going to someone like you who's been doing it for a while and has this portfolio of
Right.
amazing
Mhm.
work.
Yeah.
It's hard to give someone different, like someone new, a chance.
And it's hard because everything, I didn't have anybody to bounce anything off of.
Mhm.
I literally had to just go in and
Mhm.
research and trial and error and figure it out, and medical director and malpractice insurance and what product am I going to carry and all the trainings I'm going to do. And I mean, and I didn't take a dime from what I made from my business until my business loan was paid off.
Yes.
And that's why I kept working full time at the hospital as a nurse and didn't take any money until that business loan was paid off, because it was just like this black cloud hanging over my head. But people don't realize that, $50,000-$60,000 worth of product that you have on hand at all times. And I have 2 locations. So,
And think about what would happen if she had that product, because it has to be refrigerated. And that product, her refrigerator quit
yeah.
or something broke. And then you've got that much product sitting on hand
Yep.
and that you can't use.
Yep.
So, owning your own business, buying your own product, doing your own thing is not always the answer for everybody.
Right. And it's just, yes, I work 3 to 4 long days a week. But the other days, like you said, I mean, my phone is nonstop from 4 o'clock in the morning till midnight, holidays, weekends, it doesn't matter.
Vacations.
Vacations. And that's okay. That's okay. And people are like, well, why don't you just, put like a message on there? Well, you'll get back with them when you get back in town. And no, because I'm going to have to do it eventually anyway.
Well,
so I
even
might as well just
then,
do it.
we have people like, I understand that. And then we don't answer that one person right there when they want it. And we're getting our butts chewed for it. And it's like, girl.
4 voicemails. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, the
Or
Facebook
10
messages
10
where
missed calls from the same person.
I've had somebody walk
Hey,
like
I really
straight
need to
into
get hold of you.
into my shop being like, I've been trying to get a hold of you. And I was like, I'm so sorry.
Sorry, I'm with a client.
Yeah,
So literally,
but I was
if you
like, okay.
are a entrepreneur that thrives on that, that thrives on, the hustle, the bustle of it, then working solo is a good option for you. But there's also
But
other
if you are
options.
someone who is scared to take a chance, being solo is not it.
Mhm.
Because
and
there's a
just-
lot of up in the air. There's a lot
It's a
of
personality.
chance you
for
have,
sure.
a lot of gambling.
And it
lot
might
of
be,
gambling.
if I were to do it completely over again, just because the market is a little bit more saturated now and everything else, I always advise people that it's probably best to go work for a dermatologist, plastic surgeon, let them invest in you, because I didn't have any of that. I had to pay tens
And
of
in what we
thousands of
do,
dollars.
our clients have to trust, like
Yeah.
Oh,
us.
yeah.
You have to build a great relationship with your clients.
Yes.
And to where they're telling people, because if the client you have right in front of you does not trust you, their friends aren't going to.
Yeah. And I think that as I learned from my mistakes. I've been in this business quite a long time, and since I learned from my mistakes, those mistakes I can turn around and take and train my new apprentices, and they can learn from my mistakes. But something that I tell a lot of young people, because in the spring, whenever the school's let out, I get tons and tons of contacts and resumes and young estheticians looking for jobs, is instead of going to the shop, trying to go work for a Medspa, go work for, if you want to be a waxer, go work at European Wax. Get
You'll learn
that
a
day
good and bad
in, day
habit from
out.
European wax.
Yeah.
And you'll learn what to do and what not to do.
You'll learn
You'll
what to
see
do.
so many clients in a day.
And then that'll get your feet wet. Or if you want
lash
to do lash
studios,
studios, go to one of the lash studios and learn how to do that so that you have the repetitive clients.
Yeah.
And even Massage MD does facials now. If you want to do Swedish massage, go to Massage MD. You're going to get a lot of hands-on experience, and you'll have people watching over you, making sure that you're doing it correctly. Will you get paid a lot of money? Some do.
Yep.
But then you can go to work, turn around, go home.
Well, and I always tell people, as far as what I do, a baby nurse, a brand new nurse should not be in that situation. You need to have some critical care, emergency type background to know, because there are tons of things that can happen. Occlusions.
We've had people faint in Heather's room.
I've had tons of people faint. Oh, yeah. And seizures.
One of those may have been Lena.
No, I didn't faint. I just didn't want to be there.
We hear the screaming.
That's too funny.
I loved it after I
scary.
got it done. Everyone down here knows I
seen
hate
some
needles.
crazy-
Hate them.
Yeah.
I have Heather who says, "Shut up and sit down."
That is too funny.
But, we're so proud of Paige for jumping out there and doing her own thing at
Yeah.
such a young age. She just has such a bright future.
Yes.
I
But
appreciate that.
don't be afraid to go and check out and work alongside. The way my business, we have a different business setup than a lot of people do.
Mm.
The way that I set up was back when I started, I knew that I wanted to work with a group of have a team of estheticians. And so I created my team of estheticians. But then at that time, Heather was getting started. I had just met Laura. And so
It sounded like you stalked Laura.
I did stalk Laura. And so I merged independent professionals into my business so that, we can draw off the knowledge of each other.
Yeah, and
And
we
that
all
has
just
worked
grew
so
and
perfectly.
learned together.
We
We
are.
are.
You guys are
We have
adorable.
so much fun.
Mhm.
And I think that's great. So I want to have the best estheticians that I can possibly have. And I really do have some good estheticians.
Yeah.
And I've got some great young ones. Georgia hasn't even started with us yet, but we're going to start training her, and she's going to be phenomenal too.
Mhm. Yep.
That's awesome.
I say, and that's another thing is when you come right out of esthetician school, aesthetic school, the amount of knowledge you have coming out is nothing in compare where aesthetics
Mm-mm.
is at this point in time.
No, it's just like nursing school. They
Mhm.
teach you a little bit about a lot, whereas you are on the job, and that's where you're going to learn a lot
They
about
teach you how to
what you're
pass
actually
the test,
doing. Exactly.
And then the state boards versus what the real world's actually
Exactly.
like is
Where did
so
you find
polar
most of your
opposite.
information when you got out of school?
Oh, just trial and error. Just trying to. All my poor mom. I think she sat through hours and hours of me trying to do nails but YouTube was more helpful than anything, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was definitely not. School wasn't exactly what I quite expected, but you definitely learn a lot more on the job.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
I say because I didn't go through actual school. I was an apprentice, and the amount of so when I took my state boards, I actually sat with a group of girls that were right out of school, and they were like, "Where'd you graduate?" I said, "Well, I didn't. I did an apprenticeship." And they're like, "Oh, so you've been doing facials?" I was like, "Yeah. Like we've maybe done 2."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Yeah, I've been doing this. I've been getting people to come in to let me do facials on them, learn dermaplaning, like do all this. That way I can go to work." And I was actually shocked at their amount of facials they did in school
Yeah.
Mhm.
on real people.
School is kind of learning your theory.
Mm-hmm.
And then it is up to you if you want to be in this industry or even in any small business. If you're not willing to step out there, put yourself out there,
And work
Google it.
hard.
YouTube,
I say because
talk to
our
other
industry is so
professionals, call
saturated.
somebody,
You
come
have to
watch
stand
mentors.
out.
Like you do. You have to. What puts you above someone else?
So you have to know
Yeah.
your stuff, and you just have to be able to give everyone the right direction. Because otherwise, I mean, Joe Blow across the street
Mhm.
is offering basic facials.
You're only gonna get what you
Yeah.
put into it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So if
and,
you can't bring something to the table for your client,
Mhm. And something to the business.
Mhm.
Because not only do you perform the services, we want to see someone just like that can get out there and do the social media. You've got to promote yourself.
Mhm.
Do not expect the business to bring you all your clients. If you're not willing to jump in there and start helping to bring in the business, you're a salesperson.
Mhm.
And if a salesperson doesn't sell things or sell themselves or make themselves out to be or become the best that they can be at the services that they are offering, then don't be afraid hurt whenever your employer says, "Okay, well, we may look for somebody else, or we need to go a different direction,"
Yeah.
because you have
Also-
got to put yourself out there.
PSA, your knowledge does not stop when you get your diploma.
No.
No.
Oh my gosh. That's just the start of it.
Oh my gosh, you would not imagine the amount of estheticians I talk to that they don't continue the research because facials have got what we do with ingredients and skincare and
Constantly
acids
changing.
Yes.
Products
has
are changing.
evolved so much, even since I started 2 years ago.
I mean, just the trends. It'll be a new
And
What
what
I
we
trend.
started
find that we
doing
can
versus
use-
now,
Yes.
So
completely
do
different.
not stop
Yes.
your education just because
Yes.
you have your diploma and you're doing the job. Keep learning.
New
And I love
ingredients
seeing
are coming out
seeing
all the
Paige's
time.
Instagram. You got to go and follow Paige on Instagram. All of the stuff, you go to the very beginning of her
It looks totally different.
And
it does.
Aw.
It looks like it's a little immature, and now
Yeah.
her work is like
Well,
an artist.
and when I started, I used acrylic, and now I have a completely different whole system. It's just totally different. I do Gel X now, and And a lot of my clients don't know the difference at all, but it was like learning something completely different. And I didn't even touch Gel X in school. So if I stopped learning when I got out of school, I would have never even picked up these other products that I love so much more and that are
Right.
so much better for the client and myself.
Right.
And like you said, when it comes to being a salesperson, like, we don't love, some salespeople,
Yeah.
but a lot of it is your personality. And I feel
Yeah.
like talking to your clients a lot is, they're not gonna come back to you. May do a good job, but I find a lot of it is how you made them feel. Like,
Absolutely.
did you let them
Yeah.
talk about whatever they had on their mind, or did you talk about yourself more and stuff like that? And you said if they don't like you, their friends aren't gonna like you either, because it's a lot about talking.
And not every client is for every professional.
Right.
No.
So there's so
some
many of us
personalities
professionals
clash.
out there
Right.
that not every client's very professional. So if you have someone that doesn't come back to you, don't get discouraged.
Right.
Maybe your personalities just didn't match.
Things just work themselves
Yeah.
out like they're supposed to.
I wish so many people could come in and just listen to on the outside of my
my
room with me and my
gosh.
clients. Like, this is why my client base is just, I love them.
Well, and,
It's 'cause
and
I've
as
built
the
that.
client, you're not going to mesh with every esthetician out there.
No.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 estheticians, and some people don't get along with one, or they don't like the technique of one. Well, then try another one. We are all just a big happy family, and remember, my estheticians are employees, so you do not have to be
You don't belong
loyal
to
to
that
one.
person.
You can
Right.
bounce between them,
Right.
and there are times that I'm not great at acne, so I will refer most of those clients on to Anna and Lena, because they're the ones that are specialized in acne. Now, if you've got a dark spot, or you got melasma, or you got an 8 spot you want to get rid of, or you need something lasered or peeled off, then that's my go-to. And also lashes. I've been doing lashes longer than lashes was cool.
Yep.
And I've got some tips and tricks that young lash artists may not know. And I do a lot of different things. So don't be afraid to go between our estheticians, because we're just one big happy family. And everybody has to walk by Lena's room,
Well,
knock
it's
on the door, and
definitely-
say, "Lena, be quiet."
Yeah, it's definitely the exact same with nail technician, because it's like, while as my products I love and I like working with them the most, but some people, they love acrylic. They only want acrylic. And so it's the same way where it's like, I can't accommodate every single
Right.
person, and that's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, to conclude this episode real quick, is just because you can't go solo right out of school and you decide to go work for a spot, that doesn't mean you'll never be able to go solo.
Right.
Yes.
Build your brand, build you, and then by the time build your knowledge, and then have something to bring as a solo esthetician.
Yep. And explore your options. Don't just think that you have to go out there and start on your own.
Right.
Go out there and explore different options. Go to a couple job interviews. Check out, big salons, small salons. Check out small town, big salons, and see what's your fit, because what fits you may not fit somebody else. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there as a newbie.
All right, guys. Well, huge thank you to Heather, Kristen, and Paige for being here with me today.
Thank you.
Once again, this is season 2, episode 1 of season 2.
Yay!
Hopefully some new things are coming.
Oh,
What I
yes.
want to do is I want to also do live reacts to videos, TikTok trends. I hope that comes in the future. I think it'll be here. Also, we want to start doing live, call in. So we're going to start doing live video feeds of our episode. And when we're doing that and you have a question, you can call us. We're getting that set up, so wait till I say that's okay before we start getting phone calls.
Well,
for
and I
everyone.
want everybody to see how cool everything is now. Go back to our
To
very
when we first started.
and we were in like a little coat closet.
Yes.
And now look at how awesome our studio is.
know.
JT
Very cool.
Visuals is amazing, and they just keep getting bigger and bigger and doing
This is the first
so
episode
much
with
more.
the new table, too.
We love the new table. We even have little leg things.
I know.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, thank you guys so much. Make sure you go follow us on everything. Click that bell for notifications for when we post. Also, go find us on wherever you get your podcasts.
And keep making comments, because we do read those.
Yes.
And we're trying to respond.
But not just respond. We're trying to get episodes planned out.
Yes.
That is what you guys want to know.
Yes.
So leave your comments.
And I think next month we're going to have some guys on.
Ooh.
We're going to try
Interesting.
to make it some more. We're going to try to get a little more variety here. I
Yeah.
think that's one thing. Anyway, we'll talk to you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.